We are halfway home in our list of recapping the biggest moments of the last 12 months, with the top story of the year still ahead. What many believe to be the most critical agency in the government of Guam was rocked by allegations of corruption, leading to the termination of 6 employees and resulting in its general manager being very publicly dismissed. Story number 4 takes us down to PD for problems at the port. A wave of controversy came crashing down at the port in 2012. 7 people were terminated from the agency, one of them the port's general manager, Mary Torres. The terminations followed an investigation by the board and its legal counsel involving a request for funding for off-island medical treatment and a travel request or authorization involving an employee who was injured in September of 2011. Torres didn't go quietly, claiming the investigation was targeted toward getting rid of an employee who she said was a known political enemy of the governor and that she herself was collateral damage.
I'm appalled and saddened that 6 employees, most of them longtime members of the Port family, have lost their jobs as a result of a politically motivated investigation.
Torres' brother, former Governor Felix Camacho, came to her defense, saying he was fully aware of the alleged political maneuvering that has occurred. The employee at the center of the investigation, his former special assistant.
Politically, I'm surprised that Governor Calvo has allowed this process to get out of hand. It is like a runaway train and he has allowed, I believe, the Port Board of Directors to act, to run amok and act irresponsibly. As in all things of this magnitude, the governor is never outside of it.
Governor Eddie Calvo responded, refuting allegations that the port investigation was politically motivated.
I think it's important to understand that a governor should not influence one way or the other on decisions that are made by a board or by a manager, that by statute it is their responsibility.
The port's legal counsel, Mike Phillips, also responded to Torres' allegations, saying the truth will come out eventually.
I feel very confident that when this is all finished, everybody will look back and see that it was based on the facts and really not on anything else at all.
The investigation report has been turned over to the AG's office as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office. Additionally, one employee has officially filed an appeal to her termination with the Civil Service Commission. This year, Guam has seen its share of violent crimes. Take, for example, the Crown Bakery case that occurred in October when a woman who was leaving the bakery was kidnapped, beaten, robbed, and sexually assaulted. Raymond Charles Tatautau is standing trial for that case. Shortly after that incident, 18-year-old Gene Starks Namorian was arrested, accused of breaking into his co-worker's Sinahanya home, raping and stabbing her. But one of the more horrific crimes this year occurred on December 1st, when an elderly woman was found dead inside her Barragata home. 20-year-old Keith Jermaine Garrido of Jonia was arrested. He was smiling in his mugshot.
He's charged with murder, aggravated assault, burglary, use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony, and theft of a motor vehicle.
Garrido is accused of beating to death 63-year-old Nancy Moffness. He stole $8 and her car, which he later crashed just about a mile away from her home. His case continues to move through the judicial system. Guam's finances in 2012 saw its highs and lows. Millions in tax refunds were paid out. Matter of fact, Guam is current, with the exception of problem returns, which are currently being settled with Rev and Tax. But just as tax refunds were being paid out, Guam's deficit continued to grow. In April, Adelup ordered the formation of a spending cuts task force to find ways to cut up to $43 million in government spending. 4 months later, the Omnibus Fiscal Reform Act of 2012 was introduced. At its high end, it had the potential to curb government spending up to $70 million.
There's naturally going to be resistance, I suppose, from any facet of this government that may have to suffer a little bit of some pain that's associated with downsizing. But just like the rest of the nation and the rest of the world in austere financial times, we have to look at the realities.
The most resistance came from the Guam Retirement Fund. Bill 507 included provisions related to the fund, an early retirement program, and the extension of the amortization period to pay down the unfunded liability by 10 years. Combined, the provisions were estimated to cut spending by up to $60 million.
Why is the retirement fund now brought in the picture? It seems to be the only game in town or something. Why they couldn't resort to one? They reorganize. We used to reorganize the government, Guam, restructure it, cut down the staff, realign them, go to RIF notices, go to RIF if you don't need all these people. And if you need more money, you increase the tax base or go and borrow money. That's what we usually do. Issue tax, issue bonds.
We think that those scenarios actually, one, aren't really germane to this issue, and we actually don't think that they apply, quite frankly.
4 months after Bill 507 was introduced in December, lawmakers finally acted on the legislation, gutting it almost completely, including removing the retirement fund provisions.
We removed most of the sections, and we've added a couple of sections on other savings provisions as we were asked to do.
The total amount in cuts in the revised version of the bill amounted to about $1 to $2 million, essentially leaving future leaders to figure out how to deal with Guam's swelling deficit in 2013. We are now at the #1 story in our countdown, but we're not going to reveal it just yet. Before we head into the break, here's a look at the top 10 sports moments of 2012.